been really undergoing huge transformation in a lot of ways, but this very specific way. And so I want to preface that with, I was born in North Miami Beach, second generation Jewish South Floridian. By definition, we were Zionists. Like that wasn't really, it almost wasn't presented. It was like as much of an option as whether or not I was going to go to college, was whether or not we were going to support Israel. Like it was just a given. And I actually love Israel. I have been to Israel, and actually I brought something that I wanted to show you guys, because this is actually how personal this gets for me. So this, can you guys see?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a shirt that I have from when I was in Israel. It's an Israeli army shirt. It was considered contraband for me to even bring it back. I actually traded a Walkman for it. I mean, granted, this was in '87, so it was a thing. But the man who I got this shirt from was like one of the kindest, gentlest, most beautiful people. His name was Ofer. I, for the life of me, would never remember his last name. And he was a kid like me. But anyway, so this is someone who was a friend, and I just, this is very hard. This is very hard. So for me, when I want to talk about looking at Israel in any sort of negative way, it's very difficult. There's been a cognitive dissonance for years, and I finally just couldn't keep doing the mental gymnastics around what's going on. And I've learned new facts. And so it's very important for me on this issue, because I feel like, especially with a lot of my Jewish peers, that we were really misinformed. Some of it purposeful, some of it just inadvertent. Like I don't think my grandparents purposely lied, but do I think that there were nefarious propagandists that were lying to them? Yeah. So my perspective is now obviously different. And so coming to this point has not been easy. And I've been here for a while, and I'm somewhat shamed to say that I just still wasn't willing to be public about it, not just for political ramifications, although that is a thing. And this very well could be the hill that I politically die on. And if that's the case, that's the case. So that's something to me that I have to do for me. I've always wondered my whole life, if I was alive during slavery, during segregation, during, the times when it was a minority opinion speaking out against something that was an injustice, would I have done that? And I always thought, yeah, of course I would. And really, I haven't, not enough. So that's where I am now with this. And I've done a lot of research. And by the time, I would say, by this time next year, you can count on me to probably be one of the most educated people. And that's just the way I am. Like I'll go down rabbit holes. Like I will be the most educated person on this. But my fellow Jewish people, we have been misinformed. We weren't taught accurate history. We just weren't. We were taught Zionist talking points. And we were taught there was a land with no people for a people with no land. We've constantly conflated Judaism and Zionism. We have this thought that somehow there's a connection between post-Holocaust and the state of Israel in terms of that's why it's there. That's where consent was hugely gained. But that plan was in play a long time before, and it really had nothing to do with the Holocaust as to why this started. But we're going to get into all that. But I just think it's very important that when people say, do you think Israel has a right to exist? I actually don't believe any country has a right to exist. I think people have rights and countries have obligations. So no, I don't think any country has the right to exist. And I've also come to accept this very basic fact, and I am begging people to understand this. You cannot have an ethnocracy and a democracy. You cannot have an ethno-state without conducting an ethno-cleanse. Those things cannot happen. And people need to really understand that this is not just my opinion. And this is just the way it is. There's certain things that to me are just oxymorons, and that's one of it. So either you support an ethnocracy And that's fine when we know all the facts and you hear what really happened and what's really going on and 2 levels of citizenship and you know all the information and you say, you know what, it's still more important to me for the Jews to have a national homeland that is a national Jewish state. Okay, but you cannot claim it's a democracy. You have to accept that you are supporting an ethnocracy, which is really no different than a theocracy. And it's just something that we've grown to accept regarding the state of Israel. And it is very scary as a Jewish person to think like what would happen to Jews if it weren't for Israel, because I've been programmed to think that. And anti-Semitism is very real, very real. And so the thought of what would happen to Jews if there's no Israel, like what does that mean for us? It is very scary. Like the threat is not unreasonable. It's not irrational. Like fear is very rational for Jewish people in this. It's not like a made up thing, but it doesn't justify what we're doing to an entire other group of people. So that's just where I am. There's no logical conclusion between what we're doing is actually what's making us safer. I would argue it's making us less safe. And it is definitely increasing levels of actual anti-Semitism, not just people that support BDS or people that dare to speak out about, human rights injustice, but real anti-Semitism is a thing. So I think that when we throw that term around loosely, it doesn't serve us. And I'm just tired of that. I'm tired of people like my representative not understanding what nuance is, what real history is. Why is one group of people entitled by right to a piece of land? And the higher question is, where do we get our rights? See, as humans, we get rights by our nation states grant us rights. So basically, we as humans come together in the United States and we create a constitution, which is the authority. That authority is what gives us rights. So what, let's say, gives a country a right to exist? Where is that right from? So if the state of Israel has a right to exist, under what authority is that right? Because rights are granted by a higher source. That's what rights are. They're not innate. So otherwise we wouldn't even need to call them rights. We would all just go about our lives and do whatever we want. So when you say something has a right, I'm curious, what is the authority? And regarding the state of Israel, the only thing I could think of would be international law, except for that Israel is in violation of international law to a level that is just off the charts. And somehow we just keep excusing it. So if you're going to claim a right by an authority, you probably need to also follow that authority. Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.